Back when I was in high school, I used to dabble with challenge running some of my favorite games. But once I got to college, that's when challenge running really became a passion for me. It was at a time in my life when I was unexpectedly pushed out of my living situation, and I had barely any time or money to play games. The thought of getting more mileage out of the games I already owned was definitely a motivator. I remember going to my office job and using the giant printer to print off hundreds of pages of game fact guides. I would go to my college classes, and while I was waiting for them to start, I would read through these guides, starting to formulate strategies I would use when I got home. I would finish classes, go to my second job at the bowling alley until 11 o'clock at night, I'd grab dinner on the way home, and I'd have about 45 minutes to an hour to finally use all those strategies I had been thinking about all day. Then I'd go to bed, wake up the next day, and do it again. I would slowly pick away at multiple different challenges over the course of my 4 years in college. Fast forward to now, and I've done so many challenge runs over my career, specifically in Final Fantasy VII. But I really do still look back on that time fondly. I think I really fell in love with both these games and challenge running because that's all I had at the time. If I wasn't doing a challenge run or reading up on a challenge run, I was watching challenge runs. And one player that I always loved to watch was Garland the Great. He made the most amazing Final Fantasy VII challenges. And one rule set that he loved to use in a lot of his challenges was low level. When I saw my first low level challenge from Garland, I wondered to myself, how do you do a low-level challenge in Final Fantasy VII? There are many RPGs, including other Final Fantasy games, that lend themselves well to low-level challenges. Final Fantasy VIII and Final Fantasy IX, the bosses don't give you any XP. Final Fantasy X, you can just ignore the sphere grid, and that's basically a level 1 challenge. And then there's games like Kingdom Hearts, where there's an ability you can equip that stops you from getting XP. Final Fantasy VII doesn't work well with low-level challenges at all. All of the forced battles in the game give you XP, and even the party members that are not in your party still get half of the XP if they're unlocked and in the PHS. The only way to limit XP from fights like boss battles is to have 2 of your party members dead, that way only 1 of your active party members gets XP, but of course all the characters in the PHS will still get half. Because XP in Final Fantasy VII is pretty much unavoidable, Garland's approach to doing a low-level challenge was to pick a certain level, usually around 29 or 30, and make sure that none of the party members ever reach above that level. This meant keeping only 1 character alive at the end of any forced fights, and changing which party member that was so that by the end of the game, all of the characters ended up around the same level and all below that target level. I always loved these low-level challenges, and they were super impressive, but as I started doing my own Final Fantasy VII challenges, I hatched an idea to push low-level even further. The idea wouldn't just be a challenge of our Final Fantasy VII knowledge, but a mathematical problem, a puzzle that we would have to solve. But unfortunately, it didn't seem like it would be tough enough to be interesting, so I put it on the back burner thinking that one day maybe I could add something to it to spice it up. Then, in October of 2024, Disc 1 Skip was found. Disc 1 Skip was primarily a speedrunning trick that would skip almost the entirety of Disc 1, all the way from Midgar to the City of the Ancients. Although the skip saved a ton of time in the speedrun, it also introduced a couple of very interesting challenges for speedrunners to tackle. Because you skipped so much of the game, the party was at an extremely low level to tackle the Disc 2 bosses. Not only that, but they were stuck on that continent until they got through the Whirlwind Maze and got the Highwind, meaning Schizo was a huge challenge to overcome. Disc 1 Skip also skipped Aerith's death scene, meaning that she stayed with you for the rest of the game. This motivated me to do a challenge called the Aerith's Revenge Challenge, where on the original PS1 we would take Aerith all the way to defeat Safer Sephiroth. At least, that's what the challenge started as, but it ended up being a crazy Final Fantasy VII science experiment, and by the end of it, we were the first to beat Final Fantasy VII on the original PS1 with the entire party intact and playable. After the Aerith's Revenge challenge, I did another challenge using Disc 1 Skip to try to get the least amount of trophies possible in a full playthrough of Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation 4 version. After that, I was looking through my challenge notes to see if any other challenges might be affected by Disc 1 Skip, and I came across my idea for the low-level challenge. I realized that Disc 1 Skip was exactly what my low-level challenge needed. By minimizing all of the XP gains throughout Midgar and then doing Disc 1 skip, we would be stuck on the third island with a laughably low party level. Not only that, but other skips had been found since Garland's old low-level challenges that lower the party level even more. So with the plan in place, I announced the challenge, and with the backing of someone special in the comments, it was time to begin. So in general, the only rule for this challenge is to absolutely minimize all XP in the game. However, as you'll see, this is an unbelievably complicated puzzle that we would continue to unpack throughout the playthrough. For now, let's just say that for every forced battle, we need to have one party member alive. That party member needs to be the most optimal party member for the lowest party level possible by the end of the game. And if we can do any kind of glitch or skip to skip XP, we have to do it. For many of my challenge runs, skips and glitches are banned because kind of the whole point of doing a challenge run is to be able to defeat all the bosses, not skip them. But in this case, if a boss gives XP and we can skip it, we must skip it. Our only goal is to finish the game at the absolute lowest level possible. We're way more invested in the puzzle rather than the challenge of the bosses. But trust me, the bosses will get challenging. The biggest difficulty with this challenge is that we're not just limiting our XP, we are not allowed to get any XP that is not forced upon us. In low-level challenges of the past, you could do stuff like pick up enemy skills and grind limits on enemies with really low XP counts, as long as that XP didn't add up to giving that party member a level. In this challenge, getting any XP at all other than XP that is forced is banned. Meaning we can't get any enemy skills that a boss doesn't use, we can't get any items on enemy drop tables, we can't grind limit breaks, and there are many, many other limitations because of this. Not only is this going to be a very difficult puzzle to solve, but the battles will also be tough because of how incredibly limited our resources are, not to mention our character's complete crap stats at low level. I should also mention that this challenge is much different than a level 1 challenge, if you have ever seen one of those. In a level 1 challenge, the game is modded so that it will not give you any XP when fighting enemies. The only limitation in a challenge like this is the stats that come with leveling up. Everything else in the game is available to you, like enemy skills, limit breaks, side quests, and optional bosses. In this challenge, we can't do any battles or any events that would lead to us getting XP. The only other two rules of this challenge are 1, no warps, and 2, no materia smuggling. Warps are a glitch that can only be done in the PC version of Final Fantasy VII, and pretty much completely trivialize the game. Using the current PC Any% route, you can leave Midgar, do some trickery on the world map, and wrong warp directly to the credits, which would completely defeat the purpose of a challenge run. In fact, while we were doing this challenge run, it was found that you can beat Final Fantasy VII in less than 7 minutes using a different type of wrong warp. The other reason that warps are banned is because I always make sure my challenge runs could potentially be done on the original PS1 version. So all of the glitches and tricks you see during this run can be done on any version of Final Fantasy VII. Materia smuggling is another PC-only glitch that I discovered back in 2020. It also completely trivializes the game, as you can take any materia from any save file and place it on any other save file you want. Even if you start on a clean slate, you could start the challenge run until you get some good materia, then restart the challenge run and give yourself that materia and make the challenge run easy. This video will be a summary of the challenge, but if you want to watch the challenge in its entirety, you can watch it here on YouTube. It's called the Absolute Lowest Level Challenge, and I'll leave a link down below. So we hit new game, and then we started to develop a plan for how we were going to minimize experience. Looking at the XP table for the characters, we noticed that Barrett had the highest experience curve. In other words, it took him the most XP to go up levels. So we decided that he would be our main XP sponge for the challenge. Not only does he have the highest XP curve, but he sticks with you for pretty much the entire game. Even when Cloud leaves, Barrett is still there in the party, and he only misses out on a single battle in the game before he joins up. This was the loose plan, but we figured it would probably change down the road. And my god, if I could go back and warn myself how much of a crazy rabbit hole this challenge would become. The first fight in the game is of course Cloud versus the soldiers, which we cannot dodge, and gives Cloud enough XP to reach level 7. After getting Barret and escaping from all the other battles in the reactor, we get to guard Scorpion. Now, as we mentioned before, we need to keep all of the party members in our party dead except our experience sponge. So we need to make sure that only Barret wins this fight. We want to do our best to only have one dedicated XP sponge. That way, as they keep going up higher and higher levels, they take more and more XP to go up levels, meaning that our final party level number will be lower. This also means that the other 2 party members in our party should be the lowest level party members in our entire crew, and the higher level party members should be in the PHS. This is just a general rule though, as a lot of the fights throughout the game will force us to go against this. Allowing Cloud to get smacked by Tail Laser while Barret expertly dodges it gives us our win. But right after the fight, I was informed by a fellow Final Fantasy VII expert pet friend Amy that technically using Avalanche Skip would net us an overall lower level for the challenge. Avalanche Skip is a skip done right at the beginning of speedruns that skips the dialogue with Avalanche in front of the gate in the second room of the game. The skip is actually doable on every version of the game, but the PS1 speedrun actually doesn't do it because the side effect of this is that you don't get to name Barret or Cloud. Instead, they keep their internal defaults. For Cloud, it's X-Soldier, which gets truncated to X-Soldai, and Barret's name just stays Barret. This actually loses you time in the PS1 speedrun because over the course of the entire speedrun, the game has to show the extra characters and their names every time it displays dialogue. However, we're interested in the third effect that this skip has. The game runs a formula for each character in the party as you name them to decide what level they should start on. However, if you skip naming the character, they end up with the default level of 1. So by doing Avalanche Skip, we can start the game with a level 7 Cloud and a level 1 Barret. Because it had been a while since I speedran the game, and Barret's level really isn't very important for the speedrun anyways, I had completely forgotten about this side effect. So there was only one thing to do. We reset the game and started from the beginning. After going through a second time and successfully doing Avalanche Skip, we did a quick edit to the save file so that we could still name Barret to fit with our goofy name convention. We quickly defeated Guard Scorpion again, made it up the elevator, and realized there was another problem. Tifa would be a lower level when we got her if we gave Cloud that experience from Guard Scorpion. Wait, hold up. Okay, wait. This is getting interesting. So, if we give Cloud Guard Scorpion XP, but only Guard Scorpion XP, like the rest of the game we use Barret, but in this one scenario, we give him the Guard Scorpion XP, that means Tifa will be a lower level when we get her. Because it's Cloud plus Barret. Cloud's only going to go up 1 level, I think, versus Barret going up 3. Back to the lab, boys. Back to the lab. I told you, we're going all out. If we're going all out. I don't mess around. When I said absolute lowest level, I meant it. You see, Tifa's level formula looks like this. Even though we want to use Barret as our XP sponge for the entire game, giving just the Guard Scorpion XP to Cloud means we can keep Barret's level at level 2 when we recruit Tifa, meaning she will also join the party at a ridiculous level 2. Also, if you're wondering why Barret gets level 2 even though he should still be level 1, it's because level 1 is basically a glitched level that is never supposed to be reached normally, and it just so happens that Barret actually starts with enough XP to reach level 2. So after the Guard Scorpion fight, even though he didn't get any XP, the game awards him with level 2. So we quickly reset, beat Guard Scorpion with Cloud instead of Barret, and then after getting Tifa, we go to the weapons store and spend almost all of our money on grenades. With a super low leveled party and very little resources to work with, grenades will ensure that we can get all the way through Midgar and are nice for a final burst of damage once we have our XP sponge character as the last man alive. After that, it's time for Guard Skip. Guard Skip is another speedrun trick that skips the entirety of the second bombing mission, as well as Airbuster. Not only does it skip Airbuster, but it also skips the naming sequence for Aerith, also setting her starting level to 1. After doing Guard Skip and getting to Wall Market, we now have the absolutely insane party of a level 7 Cloud, a level 2 Barret and Tifa, and a level 1 Aerith. After Wall Market, it's time for Apps, who can actually be a bit of a challenge since we are so low level and we need Tifa and Aerith dead by the end of the fight. This is compounded by the fact that Apps can do the deed himself with his own Tsunami move before Cloud is the only one left standing. We give the XP to Cloud since he's the next best target after Barret, and Barret isn't available for this fight. On to the train graveyard, where we're going to be taking some time to steal some ethers, as money is going to be really tough to grind later once we do Disc 1 skip, and there are several things in Bone Village that we really want to buy. We can also, of course, steal a striking staff while we're here. A little more shopping, and it's time for Reno, who is surprisingly tricky because if we kill 2 party members and Reno pyramids the third, it's a game over. So we need to make sure Reno is 1 hit from dead, kill off a teammate, then kill the other and throw our final grenade in between Reno's turns. Or for even more safety, you can use a limit break, which will interrupt Reno's turn anyways. When going back to Aerith's house, it's a good idea to buy some materia as we won't have access to basic materia shops for a long time after we leave Midgar. Once we reached Shinra HQ, we had a revelation about the route. The general idea was to stack XP on Barret throughout the entire game. However, when doing science for the Aerith's Revenge challenge late last year, we found a way to permanently remove Aerith from the party late into the game after saving her with Disc 1 skip. This means that theoretically we could stack all the XP on Aerith instead, get as far into the game as we can, then dump Aerith and essentially delete all of the XP and levels that she's gained. Although this would technically cause our team to be a lower level, some felt like it wasn't really in the spirit of the original challenge. I liked the idea of making the run even harder with that route, but I also liked the idea of continuing this Barret route that we had started. So we decided we were gonna do both. That's right, 2 complete challenge runs. One giving Barret all of the XP, and one giving Aerith as much XP as we can, and then removing her near the end of the game. Once we settled on our new plan, we continued into the HQ, where we of course took the stairs to avoid the forced guard fights. We do have to fight the red guards at the top though. Then after fighting the guards... No! No, the glitch. No. No. What is that? Yeah, so if you've never seen this before, the game has a glitch where it doesn't remove the can't escape flag after the red guard fight until after you take the elevator. So if you happen to get into a random encounter directly after the fight, it's also inescapable. Normally you could just fight the fight and move on, but because this is the lowest level challenge, that would be extra experience, meaning we have to reset. And it looks like we're climbing all 59 flights of those stairs again. After a quick stealing session for Carbon Bangles and the Hard Edge, we're into the Sample boss fight. We need to defeat Sample without defeating any of its minions, but luckily, the fight is usually easier if you focus down Sample anyways. After that is the elevator fight with Aerith, and this can be pretty tricky because the second phase can do a lot of damage to our super weak party. Fortunately, you don't need to kill off your party members for the first phase. All of the XP is awarded after the second phase is dead. The Rufus fight is of course normal because we can only use Cloud anyways. Then it's on to the motorcycle section, where we have a decision as to what party we want to bring. This is where we really had to sit and decide what our route was going to look like. In order to minimize our levels throughout the entire game, we want our party to have Cloud, because it has to, Barret, because he's our XP sponge, and then we want a third party member, and it should always be the lowest level party member. In this instance, Aerith and Tifa are both level 6, but we need to get rid of Aerith before leaving Midgar because after doing Disc 1 skip, she softlocks the next scene. So it's better overall to keep Tifa in the party now so that she gets no XP because we'll be using her later anyways. For Motorball, we once again give Barret all the XP, which is easy as long as we give him Elemental Fire. After leaving Midgar, it's time to do Disc 1 skip. Disc 1 skip, as mentioned before, is the biggest reason I finally wanted to take this challenge on, because with it we can skip all of the XP gained all the way up to Genova Life. Not only do we miss all of that XP, but we miss all of the collectibles and boss rewards up to that point, which is huge in this challenge because we are already working with incredibly limited options. The skip is also going to set up some glitches for the characters later, but we'll talk about those when we get to them. Before performing Disc 1 skip, we can quickly venture into the Mithril Mine and grab the items on the side without the Turks. We can even steal a Grand Glove if we want. We then return to the Chocobo farm to start doing Disc 1 skip. Ooh. We have a code red. Oh, wait. Does he open this door now? I don't know if he opens the store. I can't go to Calm. Oh no. Oh no, we didn't even think about this. I didn't even think about this. We can't make money because we can't win fights. Oh no. This is why I love doing challenge runs like this, because issues that would never normally affect a run of the game can suddenly destroy everything. Because we can't win any normal encounters, because that would give us experience, the shopping we did way back by Aerith's house means that we now don't have enough money to purchase the Chocobo lore, which we need to do Disc 1 skip. We can't just go to Calm and sell items because once you enter Calm, you can no longer leave until after the Nibelheim flashback, which ruins Disc 1 skip. We could sell things to Billy in the Chocobo Green shop, but he actually doesn't open the shop to you until after you've purchased the lore. This means that in order to fix our money, we have to reset all the way back to our Aerith's house save and do Shinra HQ all over again. At least, it should have meant that. But of course, I always have a glitch up my sleeve. This is the Aerith elevator glitch. By matching confirm on the elevator on the way down, you can interact with the elevator as Aerith is leaving it, causing the text of her interacting with it and the text that she gives when leaving the elevator to overlap, giving Aerith movement and allowing her to walk up the stairs and into the Shinra shop. I discovered this glitch back in 2018, hoping that it would be usable for the speedrun, and unfortunately, it never turned into anything. But now, 7 years later, it finally got its use. But only because we screwed up in the first place. Back through Motorball and back through Mithril Mine, and we're finally ready to catch a Chocobo. But once again, there's an issue. We have to win the fight in order to catch a Chocobo, which will net us experience. This is fine, because by gaining this small amount of experience, we're able to perform Disc 1 skip and skip way more experience in the long run, so we aren't breaking our main rule. However, in order to absolutely minimize XP, we need not only a Chocobo fight, but a specific Chocobo fight, as the Chocobo can show up with a variety of different assortments of enemies. After looking through all of the possible enemy formations, we found that the fight with the 2 Mandragoras gives the least amount of XP. So we had to run around until we got not only a Chocobo, but a Chocobo with that exact formation. Then after that, we need to both kill our characters and catch the Chocobo before he runs. Oh, I forgot to do dead party members. You're right. I forgot. Nice. What? I'm talking about Dolly Parton, you know, thinking about the park and everything, and you guys got me distracted. I blame you guys. After finally doing everything right, it's time for Disc 1 skip. And I've gone over Disc 1 skip many times in many different videos, so I'll save you the explanation here. But long story short, we use a ton of world map movement to deload parts of the world map until we can make it all the way to the 3rd continent. It can take over 30 minutes to perform, and if you do even one slight screw up, you have to reset. If we don't get stuck here, I would say we're probably in the clear. We got stuck. Dang, on the last step. Yeah, so this is what, and I didn't do any of the movement wrong. So, I don't know why this happens to me sometimes. Like 50% of the time, it just dies here. I don't know why. Because I did all the movement right. Down to literally the pixel. So, like, if it was the movement I was doing wrong, I'd be more than willing to, like, grind it out. But, like, I don't know why it fails. I still don't know why it fails. So, up to you guys. Should I try it again? Or should we just jump over there? Up to you guys. This is literally the last step. You do one more and then go. Alright. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Like I said, I've done this enough times. It gives me anxiety. It was really frustrating to not get a clean Disc 1 skip on this first attempt, because Disc 1 skip takes so long that I didn't want the challenge run to devolve into us trying it for multiple hours. Fortunately, we'd get another attempt to get all the way through Disc 1 skip in one try on the Aerith run. For now, we moved on to the City of the Ancients, where we have a bunch of stuff to pick up just to make the next section survivable. We are now completely stuck on the third continent. The only way out is to play through the story as normal, fighting Jenova, going through the Great Glacier, and all the way through the Whirlwind Maze. We grab the Aurora armlet from the city, then backtrack to Bone Village, grabbing the water ring along the way. Everything here is way above our power level and will completely delete us if we don't get a runaway really quickly. We can steal bird wings from the zoos on the beach, and we can dig up ethers from Bone Village to sell for money to buy stuff from the shop. The most important thing for us to buy is rune armlets, which have double materia growth. Because we have a limited amount of AP throughout the game, double growth will make the most use out of what we get. Once we get to the very end of the game, there is a method to get infinite AP without getting any XP, but that isn't until the challenge is basically over with anyways. Once everything is done, we can go down and fight Jenova Life. This fight is of course impossible to lose as long as somebody has the water ring, but it is a huge slog with our underleveled party. Giving Cloud the water ring and using the hard edge speeds up the fight a little bit, and then we can just revive Barret once Jenova runs out of MP, and he can take all the XP. 4,000 XP. Holy cow. We then watch as Aerith pretends to leave the party, but because of Disc 1 skip, she'll be with us for the rest of the game. On our way out of the Coral Cave, we run into this guy. His name is Acrophes, and fun fact, he appears in Final Fantasy V, 6, and 11. But more importantly, he carries a stealable water ring. As mentioned before, we can't get any items off of any drop tables for enemies, but we can get items off of steal tables, as when you run away, you get to keep stolen items. Water rings will be our main source of money in the future, as they sell for 5,000 gil. Unfortunately, the steal rate is terrible, and it's even worse because the steal formula in Final Fantasy VII is directly tied to a character's level. We'll come back and farm water rings when our levels are at least a little bit higher. For now, we push on to the Icicle Inn and the Great Glacier. Now this challenge was part of our official Friday series on our Twitch channel, meaning we took a break right before the snowboard minigame and came back the following week. During our time away, some amazing viewers worked together to look into the math of minimizing experience, and one of our viewers named Slognad combined their math into a workable spreadsheet that we could use to test different routes throughout the rest of the challenge. Through this tool, it was found that using Barret as the XP sponge, even though he has a higher XP curve, was not actually as optimal as using Cloud for the majority of the run. So, we once again had a decision to make. Do we reset the entire run and start using Cloud for all the fights? Well, I was really enjoying the Barret run, and we don't really get to see Barret as the main character of challenge runs very often, so it was decided that the challenge would now be not 1, not 2, but 3 entire playthroughs of the game. One would be this run, where Barret was the XP sponge, one would be the Cloud XP sponge route, and one would be the route where we have Aerith be the sponge up to a point and then remove her from the game and lose all the XP and levels. With all of that figured out, we continued on our Barret journey, And up next was Great Glacier. We can't get Alexander from Great Glacier as it would involve killing the mini-boss, but we do have two very important things to get here. The first is a circlet. These will be vital for damage later, as physical damage is going to suck for pretty much the entire run, and we'll also need them as one of the only reliable ways to get magic defense. Because of our incredibly limited resources, we basically have no access to M Barrier. We can't get Big Guard, we have very limited AP throughout the game, so getting Magic Barrier from a barrier materia would be very difficult, and Lunar Curtains are only from drops, you can't steal them. The second important thing to get in Great Glacier is this elixir. This elixir is the most important elixir in the game, and is a big step towards why this challenge is even possible in the first place. The developers of Final Fantasy VII forgot to place the line of code that removes Cloud's movement when picking up this elixir, and the act of canceling the text box is what removes the elixir item from the field. So if you pick up this elixir, and then without canceling the text box walk out of the cave, you'll still get the elixir, but you won't remove it from the field. You can repeat this for infinite elixirs as long as you never fully pick it up. This grind is quite the slog because A, every once in a while you'll collapse from the cold and have to run back, and B, if at any time you get a pincer attack, you're pretty much dead. Once we have enough elixirs, we can move on to one of the hardest bosses in the challenge, the Icicles. This fight is a complete disaster in this challenge. The fight includes 4 evil heads, aka the bats, that will instantly either kill you or silence you. And because they give XP when you kill them, we aren't allowed to kill any of them. This means that we need to quickly nuke the Icicle, but it has a whopping 3000 HP and has a 50% chance to counter every attack with an Icicle drop. On top of that, the Icicle does give a small 500 XP, meaning we still need to end this fight with only Barret alive. After a ton of trial and error, our strategy became this. Buy the micro laser from Icicle Inn for Barret, and stack Cloud with every materia we can that gives magic, as well as Comet, a wizard bracelet from Bone Village, and a circlet. With all of the magic buffs from the materia, armor, and circlet, Cloud can almost one-shot an Icicle with a Comet, which he can just barely cast with maxed out MP. We start the fight with Barret's limit bar already charged, and as soon as the fight starts, we pray Tifa dies and Cloud doesn't get silenced. We have Cloud cast Comet, then we pray Cloud dies before Barret, and as soon as he does, we fire off a big shot to finish it off. If all goes to plan, the Icicle will die and all the bats will stay alive. Then we just have to do it another 2 times. Yes. Kill him. Yes. Oh my god, Barret, please. Turn. Yes! We did it! We killed a single Icicle! Let's go! We did it! We can't fight the 4th Icicle as it's optional, but you can actually start the fight and run away, and the game will allow you to run through the model of the Icicle to grab the Mega Elixir. We aren't out of the woods yet though, as next up is another massive hurdle for the challenge, Schizo. Schizo does crazy high damage that is all magic. Ice attack, fire attack, double ice and fire attack, earth counter attack, and lightning final attack. The tried and true method of dealing with him in challenge runs is dragon armlets, which can be obtained just outside of his room from the blue dragons. But of course, these dragon armlets are drops, not steals, and they don't become steals until black dragons at the very end of the game. With elemental materia, we can mitigate damage from one element, but without the ability to grind, we can't level it up to complete protection. We have the Fire and Aurora armlet, but only one character can equip each one, meaning nobody will be completely protected. Luckily for the Barret run, Barret is really tanky, so he is able to survive a mitigated attack as well as the Earth counter and Lightning final attack if he has the circlet on and has a hero drink thrown on him. One of the only pickup hero drinks in the game just happens to be just before this in Icicle Inn. If the fight drags on for too long, Schizo has a chance to attack with one head twice in a row, so we need to take out the head as soon as we can. If we just spam Comet though, he will eventually counter with his Earth counter, and combined with the breath attack, Barret will die. Fortunately, the Earth counter always happens every 6 hits, and Schizo will double breath every 3 rounds of attacks. So, we can wait to do our 6th Comet until we know the double breaths are coming up, ensuring that Barret will survive. Once we take out the first head, we can steal the Protect Ring from the other head. Then at this point, we are free to kill Schizo as long as we let his breath heal us before his final lightning attack. Now of course, it doesn't end there, as Schizo has the same escape bug as those red guards had in the HQ. This means that if you get into a fight directly after the Schizo fight before leaving the screen, you can't run away from it, and you'll have to reset. Oh yeah. 3 levels. Oh my god, we did it. Oh my god, we did it. With that bullet dodged, we're on to the Whirlwind Maze, and there shouldn't be any issues here as long as we don't hit the whirlwind. What? Genova Death is another free fight with the fire armlet equipped, but it is a massive slog because of her 25,000 HP and 800 MP. Fortunately, with the farmed elixirs, you can use a couple comets to shorten the fight, but it's still a long one. After the huge story section, we arrive in the Junon escape section. Here we get to witness another side effect of Disc 1 skip. Because we never met and named Cait Sith, he should be level 1 just like Barret and Aerith were. However, Cait Sith has a special property that the others don't. Most characters in the game have a spot in memory dedicated to them, but Cait Sith and Vincent both share their slots of memory with Young Cloud and Sephiroth from the Nibelheim flashback, in order to save on overall space. Normally, when you name Cait Sith, the game first updates his section of memory from Young Cloud to Cait Sith, then allows you to name him and sets his level to the correct level. Because of this, not only did Cait Sith never get a name and a level, he also never stopped being Young Cloud. So for the rest of the game thinks that he is Young Cloud. What this results in is him being completely removed from every fight that he's in and perpetually stays level 1. This is great for our challenge as it gives us a permanent level 1 character. Even if he's in the PHS, he will not gain any experience. It is, however, another big hurdle to overcome, as we can't use Cait Sith for the entire game. There is a way to fix Cait Sith and turn him back into his normal self, and we showed that off in our Aerith's Revenge challenge, but we can't do that for this challenge, as of course that would allow him to start gaining levels again. Now the only forced fight in the Junon section is this first fight with the guards, but funnily enough it doesn't have a no escape flag, so you can just run away. After the escape, we finally reach the world map. When we left Midgar, we had to immediately do Disc 1 skip, as going anywhere else other than the Chocobo farm in that little side section in the Mithril Mine will gate you from doing Disc 1 skip. This means that this is the first time we actually have real access to the map at all. Unfortunately, there's not much we can do now. A lot of earlier areas in the game soft lock if you enter them with Tifa after doing Disc 1 skip. The most tempting thing to do here is go get Vincent or Yuffie. But of course, we can't do that, as they would add levels to our overall total. This means that for the entire game, we can't use Yuffie, Vincent, or Cait Sith. But hey, at least we have Aerith. We chose to drop Tifa off right away, and as you would expect, since we also skipped naming Cid, he is also placed into the party at level 1. He also has the same bug as Barret, where he starts with enough XP to hit level 2, meaning the first fight we win after getting him, he'll automatically tick over to level 2. What is amazing though is that since we are getting Cid at this stupidly low level so far into the game, we can actually carry this level 2 all the way to the end of the game by ensuring that he's always in our active party and always dead for all the fights. With Cid as our party leader, we can do a little bit of item collecting, like getting the Curse Ring and Contain materia from Medeal, and doing the Quadra Magic glitch to grab Quadra Magic early. Since we have no ability to breed Chocobos, since capturing a second Chocobo would give us experience, this is the only materia cave we can visit unless we defeat Ruby Weapon and get the Gold Chocobo prize. We make a quick stop at Fort Condor and make sure we win the minigame since we can't fight the boss, and then we head to Mount Coral. Before starting the train mission, we need to switch in the correct party members to minimize levels. We have to use the Highwinds operation room to switch party members, as we never unlocked the PHS from doing the Calm flashback. There is a way to get the PHS back, but it involves getting XP, so we can't do it. We have to pick Cid, and we want to pick Barret so we can soak XP, so then we have a choice between Red 13 and Aerith, as they are both level 16. According to the math sheet, either one won't affect the final level count, but I knew Aerith would later be forced into the PHS for the diamond weapon fight as she softlocks the scene after his fight, so I brought Red 13. Because we skipped over Mount Coral with Disc 1 skip, the bridge heading into North Coral is still down. Because of this, we need to park on the mountainside, walk all the way through the mountain ignoring the guards in front of the reactor, drop the bridge down as Sid, then make our way back to the guards. If we don't take the time to do this, after the train mission we'll be stuck on the wrong side of the bridge with no way to make it back to the Highwind. We let Barrett get the XP from the guard fight, and then we allow the train to crash into North Coral in order to dodge the XP from the train fights. If you completely miss the train, you can stop the train from crashing, but then you can't buy the Ultima materia later, which we might want to do. So we catch the train, but then wait out the timer in the space just before the first fight is triggered. After that, we can go back to Mideel and fight Ultimate Weapon. This fight always consists of Ultimate Weapon hitting the party with Quake 2, followed by a physical attack, and then Ultima Beam on the entire party, after which he flees. Ultima Beam is the only hidden element attack in the game, and you can actually get hidden element protection by placing elemental materia with a non-elemental materia like enemy skill on your armor. By equipping this materia combo and a circlet on Barrett, he can just barely survive the onslaught. At this point in the challenge, I realized that things might get a little confusing to my Twitch audience since the challenge would eventually consist of 3 completely separate playthroughs, so I created a little widget to keep track of progress throughout each individual run. I tried to update the party levels as much as I could, but I had to check all of the party members every time I updated it, so it's not always completely accurate. As you can see, even though we are nearing the end of the huge materia quest, we have a total party level of only 68. With Cloud back, we finally have access to most of the world map. We can go to places like Wutai to pick up some random things, but unfortunately none of it is going to help us against our next big obstacle, Carry Armor. Carry Armor is notoriously the killer of challenge runs due to his unapologetic AI and moveset. If he grabs our tanky team member, the fight is just over, and there is no way to mitigate Lapis Laser damage other than the small amount of magic defense available and the sadness status, which isn't going to be nearly enough. The usual cheese for Carry Armor is to use the Dragon Fang on him, which significantly lowers his chance to grab you, as the arms will grab far less if their HP is below 100% but above 75% of their max. Then you can use the Magic Hammer enemy skill to drain his MP so we can't use Lapis Laser. Now the Dragon Fang is no problem for us to use in this challenge, but we don't have access to Magic Hammer. So unfortunately, there's no way around it. We have to survive Lapis Laser. Even with all of our magic defense equipment and sadness placed on Barrett, we just have no chance of surviving a single laser. But it gets even worse. The arms of Carry Armor actually give XP if they are destroyed, meaning we can't kill them. This means that not only do we have to hope that we don't get grabbed for the entire fight, but it also means our characters need to be able to survive multiple arm slaps and Lapis Laser at the same time. As unfortunate as it is, our only option to get past this fight is to grind an insane amount of water rings off of Acrophes and purchase a boatload of HP pluses. HP plus on level 1 gives a party member an increase of 10% HP, and each level gives an additional 10% up to a max of 50%. You can then equip 2 maxed HP pluses to get a grand total of 100%, or double your original HP. The problem is, we can't level up any HP pluses through grinding. You can stack HP pluses even though they aren't mastered, meaning that 10 separate HP plus materias could give you the same effect of 2 mastered ones, but that will take a lot of water rings to afford, as HP pluses are 8,000 gil apiece. Not to mention, it takes up almost all of your materia slots. After nearly 2 hours of abysmal steal rates and returning to the Great Glacier to farm more elixirs, we finally dive down into the underwater reactor. We have a few forced fights that Barrett needs to win, and then we can try our hand at Carry Armor. In order to even survive in the fight, Barrett needs a Wizard Bracelet, Circlet, Sadness Ailment, which gives a flat 30% damage reduction, and 11 HP pluses. The way that I understood it before doing this challenge was that 10 HP pluses was the max a character could equip since that equals out to 2 maxed out HP pluses. But it turns out that if you have a materia that lowers your max HP, like Comet, you can equip an additional HP plus materia to mitigate the HP loss. In addition to the HP pluses, Barret also needs Comet with MP Turbo and a Magic plus. We need to do as much damage as we can while still surviving so that the fight isn't too long. The longer the fight, the larger the chance we get grabbed. Because we can't take out the arms, Barret needs to have enough HP to survive a Lapis Laser and potentially 2 arm hits before being able to heal. This means that in order to be completely safe, we can only deal damage after turns where Carry Armor only hits with 1 arm and doesn't use Lapis Laser. This slows down the fight dramatically and of course increases our chances of getting grabbed. Oh, okay. Good thing I didn't. That Lapis Laser was like really late. What? No, the 1 in 126 arm grab at the end of the fight. There's no shot. There's no shot. After an hour of attempts, we finally get a clean run with no grabs, and the big boy goes down. However, just as with the other hardest fight in this challenge, Schizo, we aren't in the clear just yet. We still have to clear out the submarine crews before getting to the save point in the submarine. And the final fight before the save point is infamous in challenge runs. The fight is a pincer with 3 soldiers, and what's worse is you don't get a chance to heal or menu after the previous fight with 2 more soldiers. On this low of a level, these guards can absolutely melt your health due to the extra damage pincer attacks do. But we can use the same setup we used for Carry Armor to quickly nuke one of the soldiers, then heal and take out the other 2. Now that we have the sub, we can go to the Gelnika for the Heaven's Cloud, Escort Guard, and Double Cut materia. We can't go to the second section of the plane because we'd have to fight the Turks. Although the first section is a challenge in its own right with the unknowns one-shotting our party with ease. We also decide to go back to Mediel to buy the best weapon we can get for Barret in this challenge, the AM cannon. Something strange that I never noticed before doing this challenge, Barret's best, second best, and third best weapon are all in the Midgar raid section, which we're going to be skipping. So we're going to have to make do with the AM cannon for the rest of the run. Next up is Rocket Town and the fight with Rude. This fight is surprisingly frustrating because we really want to steal the Zydric from Rude because the other 2 opportunities to get it will not be allowed in this challenge. However, Rude hits like a truck, and we can't take out his 2 guards since they give XP. Rude also has back row status until the guards are taken out, meaning the regular steal command can't be used. Yes, even with long-range materia, you can't steal from back row targets. So, the only way to steal the Zydric is to go to Wutai and grab the Steal as Well materia, which you can still get even if you never get Yuffie and never do the Yuffie side quest. We can then give a super tanked up Barret a low-level magic materia connected to Steal as Well, and let him spam away until he finally gets the steal. After some shopping and some story, it's time for Diamond Weapon. Diamond Weapon is extremely tanky and surprisingly fast as well, so we need to stop by Rocket Town and grab Time Materia. Diamond takes 0 physical damage until he opens up, and to open him up you need to use summons or limit breaks. Once he opens, he counts down to Diamond Flash. However, if you never open him, he actually only has 2 attacks, his Stomp and his Breath attack. Barret isn't tanky enough to take 2 stomps in a row, so he needs to heal every turn, which gives us no opening to deal damage. The Stomp attack only ever deals damage to the party member with the most HP, and the Breath attack is Fire Element. So, if we leave a low HP Cloud alive with Fire Protection, he can throw healing onto Barret, giving him the opening he needs to cast Comet. Once Diamond is within kill range, we have Cloud use a right arm on himself and use Barret's limit to interrupt Diamond and finish him off. At a total party level of only 115, it's time for the final forced experience in the game, Hojo. Before the fight, we need to perform Midgar Raid Skip. For those of you that haven't seen it, Midgar Raid Skip skips all of the Midgar Raid and puts you right into the Hojo boss fight, meaning you skip the run through the plate section, the final Turk fight, the train tunnel, Proud Clod, and the ascent up the cannon. It is also hilariously easy to do on any version of the game, Simply hold down, right, and run during this cutscene. This skip, as mentioned before, skips Barret's 3 best weapons, as well as debut item, the final Turk fight steal items, which are the Zydric, the Tough Ring, and the Minerva Band, the Behemoth Horn, Cait Sith's ultimate weapon, the HP Shout, the first accessible misstyle, and many other goodies. But because it skips the XP from the Turks and Proudclod, we have to do it in this challenge. There is a way to skip the Turk fight even without doing the Wutai side quest and getting the dialogue option to not fight them, but with no other way to skip Proudclod, we're out of luck. So into the Hojo fight, which can be tough but is much easier than the last few fights. Just make sure to give Barret a ribbon and bring lots of Phoenix Downs to revive Cloud so he can heal Barret when he needs it. No, Barret. That's mine for the win. Oh, but Cloud's got to be alive. No, Cloud has to be dead. Come on. Man. I was so excited about the fact that we won that I didn't even think about it. With the fight over, we get our final experience on Barret, and we now just have to go finish the game. Here is our final party levels for the Barret run. Our XP sponge Barret ends up on level 34. And our PHS sponges end up on levels 26, 27, and 28. Cloud ends only gaining a single level up to level 8, and Sid ends at the ridiculous level 2, having gained 0 experience the entire game. And of course, Cait Sith is still glitched at a permanent level 1, giving us a grand total of 126. This run was such an amazing testament to Final Fantasy VII science, the art of challenge running the game over the last 27 years, and the dedication of some awesome math heads in my community. By using our Final Fantasy VII knowledge to plan out the entire route of the game, our knowledge of glitches to skip every single fight that we could, and finishing every forced fight with only one character alive, we were able to accomplish this incredibly low-level party with no cheats and no warps. But with all that being said, we're only getting started, as we still have 2 other runs that are promised to hopefully end on an even lower party level. And before we get to those, we still have to officially finish the Barret run. As we move on to Disc 3, many things open up to us, including debut item and Zero Bahamut by digging them up in Bone Village, and the Mover fight within the North Crater, which finally gives us a way to farm AP and limits as they give 0 XP. The grind is pretty brutal though, as movers are pretty rare, and depending on where you decide to put your save point in the North Crater, the walk back and forth between successful mover fights can be long. You can try to farm multiple fights before saving, but this pincer is pretty common and will very often lead to a game over, resetting all of your progress. For this run, I decided to keep things interesting by not grabbing Zero Bahamut or debut item from Bone Village, and only doing a little bit of mover farming to level up some HP pluses. We can at least finally replace our level 2 Sid with one of our leveled PHS characters, since we no longer need to dodge experience. As you can imagine, the final fights are pretty challenging with our insanely low-leveled party, but it becomes even more difficult when you realize how the Jenova fight works. You may have been wondering this entire time why we already talked about the run's final level count and said that Hojo was the final forced XP in the game, when Jenova Synthesis typically gives a massive amount of XP after her fight. Well, there is a way to finish the fight with Jenova and have her award you 0 XP, but it involves surviving her Ultima attack. If you put Jenova into her final countdown form, but instead of killing her you allow her to use her final Ultima move, and you survive it, the fight simply ends and the party receives no rewards. However, surviving Ultima is a tall task for our party, but luckily, we have the greatest armor in the game, the Mistile. What, you thought I was going to say Zydric? Nah, throw that Zero Materia slot having garbage in the trash. For those of you that haven't watched me completely abuse this equipment in my past challenges, let's just say the Mistile is completely busted. It has 6 attached slots with normal growth, a massive 65 defense and 72 magic defense, but the real hidden power is its absurd 50 defense percent and 60 magic defense percent. Defense percent and magic defense percent are basically evasion and magic evasion, and unlike most numbers in Final Fantasy VII, They do not have a formula attached to them. They are simply flat rates. This means that with a Mistile equipped, you have a flat 50% chance to dodge any physical attack and 60% chance to dodge any magical attack before any other calculations like hit percent are applied. In the original PS1 version where the magic defense bug existed, magic defense didn't even affect anything on armor, making this magic evasion even more important. On top of all that, defense percent actually affects your own physical hit chance as well, giving materia like Death Blow an even better chance of connecting when you have Mistile equipped. If we put all of our HP pluses on Barret, and we boost his magic defense as much as possible, and we give him Sadness, he can just barely survive Ultima. But why do that when we can just give Red 13 a Mistile? With that, we go into Bizarro Sephiroth. I'm not going to go super in-depth about this fight since it's super complicated, but you can watch my in-depth look at Sephiroth for a complete deep dive into the mechanics of this fight. Long story short, because we didn't recruit Yuffie or Vincent, we automatically get the one-party fight. Since Barret is the only one who can deal meaningful damage, we don't have much of a hope of outpacing Bizarro's core heal, so we need to slowly take out each individual part while staying alive with elixirs. This fight would be much easier with debut item, but it was fun to push through without it. Since we are taking out all of the parts, we have to look out for Heartless Angel, which Bizarro can now use. With Barret, a ribbon, a hero drink from the swamp, as well as good elixir timing, Safer is a much easier foe as we always know what he's going to do next. Avoid a physical attack crit, smack him with some contain spells, and the Barret run is officially complete. With 1 HP to boot. With that, the Barret playthrough is complete. I got a little nice green background for the finished playthrough. I like that. Time to start playthrough number 2, the Cloud Run. As a reminder, the point of this run is to basically take the same exact route as the Barret route, but use Cloud as our main XP sponge for the entire game. Even though Barret takes more XP to level up throughout the game, Cloud starts on a higher level thanks to Avalanche Skip placing Barret on level 1. Cloud is also locked into the party for most of the game, so during the Barret run we were forced to use him even when it wasn't optimal to do so. Now we won't have that problem because we want Cloud to always be in the party. The beginning of the run starts the same, including using Cloud for Guard Scorpion to keep Tifa's level as low as possible. Cloud takes the XP for apps as well, and we have a party level of only 15 going into the Reno fight. Bro, what is your problem? 59 flights of stairs later, a forced guard fight, the Hard Edge and Carbon Bangles, and then we fight Sample again. This time, something really interesting occurs during the Sample fight. I figured when starting the Cloud run that one of the biggest benefits to using Cloud is that we can keep Barret at level 2 for almost the entire game, since he is almost always available and we can keep him in the party for every fight. But during the apps fight, Barret got half XP because he can't be in that fight. So now that we're at Sample, it's actually better to pick Tifa over Barret, since she's still level 2. After the Sample fight, I figured Barret would be coming back into the party to replace Red 13, as even with the Sample XP, he's still a lower level. But remember what we said about Barret's scaling? Well, maybe for Cloud versus Barret, the scaling isn't strong enough to matter due to Barret having such a lower level. But in this situation, where Barret is only 2 levels lower than Red 13, the math wizards in our community determined that it would be better just to keep Barret in the PHS for pretty much the rest of the run, and keep Red 13 in the main party. Aerith would be a good choice as well, but we can't take her once we leave Midgard due to the soft locking, so Red 13 and Tifa will be our main partners for this run. Since we have to use Aerith, Barret, and Red for the next fight, Barret will tank the XP, and of course Cloud tanks the XP for Rufus. We have Cloud take the XP for Motorball, leave Barret and Aerith behind, and get ready for our second Disc 1 skip. Could have been worse last time we did this. It took us a while, but we got it. Maybe? Oh my... And it's a preemptive? We hit the absolute jackpot? Oh, I didn't kill everyone. Oh my god, dude. Yes! Yes! Thank goodness. We actually got it on one of these. Let's go. That makes me happy. That makes me happy. I was afraid it was going to fail on like all 3 runs. And then it'd be like, man, it's not even like an official run. Because we never got Disc 1 skip. Whew, okay, that makes me happy. After Disc 1 skip, we backtrack for items again and head into the Jenova life fight. With Cloud on level 11 this time, the fight goes slightly faster. More elixir farming in Great Glacier, and then we're in for an even more difficult Icicle section, as Cloud isn't as tanky as Barret. We essentially need a perfect fight where Red can use his limit, Cloud can cast a Comet, then Red dies, Tifa throws an elixir just before dying, then Cloud gets one more Comet. Nobody can die at the wrong time, and Cloud can't get silenced. If all goes to plan, Cloud just barely wins and is the only one left alive. Then we have to do it again 2 more times. This time around for Schizo, I decided to try to do the fight without using a hero drink, in case we needed it for the carry armor fight, since Cloud isn't as tanky as Barret and may need the extra magic defense to survive Lapis Laser. Normally, if all else failed, we could just go to the Gold Saucer and Chocobo race until we get more hero drinks, but because of Disc 1 skip, the Gold Saucer is unavailable until after carry armor. Basically, there's a glitched cutscene there that we need Cloud to fix. However, once we fix it, the game enters a state where it thinks we're back on Disc 1, and the only way to fix it is to fight carry armor. I'll talk a little more about this glitch during playthrough 3, but long story short, this is the only hero drink we have until pretty much the end of the game. So if we could save it, it could mean saving us in the future. Beating Schizo without using a hero drink is a big problem though, because Cloud needs to have the Bolt Armlet as he isn't tanky enough to survive the final attack, and he has to be the last one alive for the XP. This means Red has to be our tank for the rest of the fight, and he's only level 8. With the Aurora Armlet, Circlet, and Sadness, Red can just barely survive Schizo's fire attack, meaning we have to sit here and pray that Schizo keeps alternating attacks perfectly until he runs out of MP. Rarely he'll use the same element twice and ruin the strat, but with a little luck we can survive long enough. With no MP, Schizo won't do his Earth counterattack anymore, but he will still do his final electric attack. So we just have to revive Cloud and slowly grind the rest of the fight out. Jenova Death is just about as slow as she was in Barret's run, but I did farm some extra elixirs from Great Glacier this time, so I could speed it up with a couple more comets. After Jenova Death, our full party level is only 63, up to 64 once we get Kate Sith. After dropping Tifa off at Mideel, we get our level 1 Sid as well, and we're off to the train mission. Through some really clever math, the community found out that bringing Barret and Aerith here is actually best because Red doesn't get a level from the half PHS experience. We allow the train to hit Coral and then go back to Mideel and fight Ultimate Weapon with Barret again. With Cloud back in the party, it's time for another huge water ring grind to buy a ton of HP ups for carry armor. During this grind, we discovered another breakthrough that could potentially lower the final level count, but we decided to hold off on it until the Aerith playthrough, since it's similar to the strat we'll be doing to get rid of Aerith. This one involves getting rid of Red 13, but only temporarily. For now, we continue on to carry armor with a level 22 Cloud. With Barret, we were able to get up to 1,972 HP, but with Cloud, I decided to go in a bit earlier and try to save some grind time, entering the fight with only 1,412 HP. However, Comet wasn't doing enough damage, so I swapped in Contain, which did a bit more but lowered our HP even further to 1,366. But with some good luck, we were able to barely skate by, and we didn't choke on the soldiers afterwards either. Some shopping, dragon scale farming, extra elixir farming, and a trip to the Galnica, and we're finally ready for the Rocket Town sequence. Rude still proves to be a huge problem though. When down to one party member, he can just absolutely nuke you from out of nowhere, and you can't create a full tank Cloud because you need a ribbon to deal with the sleep from the guards. This means you have to stay at full health at all times, but this makes trying to steal super difficult. After a ton of trouble, we finally get our Zydric, and we move on to Diamond Weapon, where we use a similar strat to the Barret run, but with Sid as our fire nullifier. Then onto the final XP of the run, Hojo, and after soloing the fight with Cloud and a ribbon, we reach our final level count. with Cloud at level 35, Barret at level 27, Tifa at level 5, Aerith at level 28, Red 13 at level 26, Kate Sith at level 1, and Sid at a remarkable level 2, our final party level is 124, a 2-level improvement from the Barret run. Although this was only a small improvement, I'm really glad we did decide to do this run, as it was cool to see how different some of the fights went, and I learned a lot about the route that I would need to put into practice for our final run, as we would soon realize it would be much more challenging than the other two, and a true test of everything we had learned thus far. But first, we had to finish the Cloud run. We didn't even attempt to survive Jenova's Ultima this time around, so we just let the Mistile do its thing. We had similar strats for Sephiroth, taking out each of Bizarro's parts individually and buffing up Cloud for safer, and we finish it off in style with a cross slash. Shortly after, it was time to hit new game on our final playthrough, having little idea how crazy it would end up becoming. The main idea for playthrough 3 is to have Aerith tank as much XP as she possibly can, and then remove her permanently from the party. Normally, when performing Disc 1 skip, Aerith stays in the party for the rest of the game, but through another sequence of glitches we discovered during our Aerith's Revenge challenge, we can actually redo the section that removes Aerith from the game permanently near the end of the game. Doing this will essentially delete all of her XP pool and all of her levels from our main count, and leave us with a drastically lower leveled party for the rest of the game. The start of the run is simple enough though, following in the same steps as the Cloud run. Once we get to the Apps fight, we now want Aerith to tank the XP instead of Cloud, which can be tricky due to the fact that she has no damaging limit break, meaning that we can't use our previous strat of holding a limit break until the last party member dies. While in the train graveyard, we make sure to grab the striking staff since it's the best weapon for Aerith for a very long time. Reno plays out the same way as he does in the Cloud playthrough since Aerith is captured during the fight. Cloud can also take the XP from the guard fight in the HQ, as well as the XP from Sample. Even with all of this XP, he still hasn't even reached a double-digit level. Aerith can then take the XP from the elevator fight, which is pretty easy with her high magic stat along with grenades. After Rufus, Cloud still doesn't reach level 10, but he'll finally reach it after the motorball fight. You would think that it would be more ideal for Aerith to take this XP, but because of some endgame math, we want both Red and Tifa to get no XP from this fight, so that both of them will be just below a level threshold at the end of the game. Also, I have to admit, I had to redo the entire HQ section in this run because I once again didn't have enough money for Chocobo lore. Once we finally get out of Midgar, we're forced to take Tifa and Red as we can't take Aerith due to her soft locking. One more Disc 1 skip and backtrack grinding, and time for a super long Jenova fight. This time, on our way through Great Glacier, we do a mind-numbing amount of elixir grinding because we are definitely going to need them. We also make sure to steal some water rings and backtrack to Bone Village for extra Phoenix Downs, as we're definitely going to be burning through those. And of course, before we leave, we need to make sure to grab a circlet. Our party is so low leveled and lacking of a tank that simply surviving through the glacier is proving difficult. When we first reach the shack at the end, there is an interesting puzzle to solve. Keep in mind, due to doing Disc 1 skip, we have no access to the regular PHS in the menu. If Aerith is in the party during the Whirlwind Maze, she will softlock the scene just before Jenova death. However, during this shack scene, you can switch party members, giving us a chance to swap in Aerith to tank the XP for the Icicle fights and Schizo. If we make sure to not bring Tifa in the same party, Tifa will run up to the party just before the maze starts, asking to go with us, opening up the PHS menu and allowing us to swap Aerith back out before the Jenova death fight. Although this would be a really clever way to give Aerith some extra XP, it actually ends up not being worth it. Because Cloud is forced into our party, we only have 2 other slots to work with, and with Tifa and Red being such a ridiculously low level, it is much more worth it to keep them in the party than to place them in the PHS. To give you an idea of how vital it is to keep Red 13 and Tifa out of the PHS, if we were to swap out Red 13 here for just the Schizo fight alone, he would gain 5 levels from the half XP, going from level 7 to 12. So, we keep the party we already have, and let Cloud get the XP from the Icicles and Schizo. It takes us over 2 hours to get everything we need for the icicle fights, but fortunately, we get pretty lucky this time and get through them all in about 20 minutes. With Cloud being even weaker this time, we are completely locked into letting Schizo drain all of his MP by hoping he doesn't break his cycle. Once he runs out, we are free to revive Cloud, grab the Protect Ring, and finish the fight. With the Fire Armlet, we can once again push through Genova Death, and we're into the Tifa portion of the game. After we drop off Tifa and get our level 1 Sid, the total party level is a measly 65. At this point, we're about to get into the real meat of this run, but before we do that, allow me to take you on a short detour. Throughout all 3 of our playthroughs, one question kept coming up. Is there any way in this challenge to grind limit breaks? We thought that maybe in the Aerith playthrough we would be so low leveled that we would need something like Cloud's Meteor Rain to deal with late game bosses. So throughout each playthrough, we were always brainstorming potential ways to unlock limit breaks without gaining any XP. Some of the ideas that were thrown around were petrifying enemies, which doesn't take away XP in Final Fantasy VII, and using the battle arena, which doesn't give XP but also doesn't award kills. We then had the idea of using an enemy that explodes, like bombs, but if they explode, you get no XP and no kill, just like the battle arena. But during the Aerith playthrough, one of our community members named J Prophet Dog brought up an idea that included a super niche mechanic using Phoenix Downs. Something that is very unknown to most players is that if you throw a Phoenix Down on a recently killed enemy, it will actually revive that enemy. Under normal circumstances, this doesn't do anything. It doesn't award you double kills or double XP at the end of the fight, it's just simply a funny trick that you can do. However, something very strange will happen if you do this to a bomb. The bomb will be revived, but then its AI will tell it to self-destruct. This self-destruct will visually remove the bomb, but he will actually still be alive as an invisible enemy. If you then hit him again, he will use a real self-destruct and be removed from the fight. This self-destruct will tell the game to not give you XP for the bomb at the end of the fight, but because at the very start of the fight you killed the bomb normally before reviving him, the party member that killed him will be awarded a kill. Then he does a fake bomb blast, but he's still alive. He's still there. So now we hit him with a regular attack, and he'll do a real bomb blast and die. And now he's gone, and we're not going to get XP from him, but we got a kill on him. Now, if we wanted to do both, we would have to do that one first, because now if we do it, the fight will end. So we could get 2 kills. But let's just have this guy bomb blast. So this should be no XP. But then, that is so wild. She has 5 kills now. That is so crazy. What in the world? This would be a very, very slow grind, but technically you could farm limits using this. You could get limit uses by using the limits on the bombs to kill them in the first place, then you could use this trick to also get a kill from the bomb, eventually unlocking all the limit breaks. In the end, we didn't have to take advantage of this strat, but it was great as a backup plan in case we got stuck on any of the bosses. Can you like kill the same one? Can I like heal him and do it again? Is it because he's in a weird state maybe? So like now if I try to revive him and it isn't gonna work? Oh no. Oh, what happened? What happened? Where's he even at now? He's like off screen. What? Bro, what is this glitch? He's way up there. Is he like massive or what? What is happening? Moving on, we crash the train into Coral again, and then we head back to Medeal. Now begins the hilarious task of trying to survive Ultimate Weapon's onslaught with Aerith, as she is our highest level party member with Cloud gone. No, the crit! Why, you're kidding! This idiot crits me? In retrospect, we could have used Barret here as well. He is only one level lower than Aerith, and this fight gives no XP anyways, but that's fine because with a Wizard Bracelet, Protect Ring, Sadness, and Elemental Enemy skill, we can lower Ultima Beam's damage to a ridiculous 272. Now that we have Cloud back, it is finally time to enact our master plan. The spreadsheets, the trial and error experiments, the Microsoft Paint diagrams, all of it leads up to this. Before doing anything, we need to take a trip to Junon to set up an elevator glitch, which we will use much later. If we don't do this, we will be stuck in a broken game after removing Aerith, with no way to finish. Our first step is to do what I like to refer to as the back in time glitch. When we did Disc 1 skip, we left some flags in certain places around the game that we can now go back to and interact with. Most of them are just dialogue and don't affect anything, but the scene where Barret talks about Coral's history is still waiting for us right in front of the Gold Saucer ropeway, and it has an interesting effect on the game if you interact with it later in the game when you're not supposed to. If you let Barret tell his story and then get on the ropeway, the game will play through the Gold Saucer just as it does in this part of the game, essentially taking the party back in time. The game will now set an in-game variable called Game Moment to a number usually set on Disc 1. Even though we're still physically on Disc 2. The game will still play as normal, as the entire code of Final Fantasy VII is actually on all 3 discs. The only difference between the discs are the cutscenes that are stored on them. In our recent Aerith's Revenge challenge, we used this to play through half of the game that we skipped, and we turned Cait Sith back into his normal self. But for this challenge, we actually want to leave without getting on the ropeway. This will still set our game moment to that Disc 1 game moment, but it doesn't lock us into the Gold Saucer section. Once we leave Coral, the High Wind is invisible, as the game doesn't render its model in Disc 1 game moments, but it is still usable. The original plan was to take the High Wind and begin the plan to remove Aerith from the party, but first we have to implement that Red 13 strat that I talked about earlier. To do this, we go back to Cosmo Canyon with Red in the party. And in fact, we need to make sure that Red is in the party before we even do the back in time glitch, because after that, we have no way to change our party. We don't have the regular PHS still, and we can't use the High Wind PHS anymore, because during the duration of the back in time glitch, the High Wind will soft lock if we enter it. We go to Cosmo Canyon with Red, and the game thinks that we're now doing Cosmo Canyon for the first time, so Red runs off to see his grandpa. To go along with Red's story, the developers really wanted to sell the idea that Red was permanently leaving the party here, so they completely remove him from the PHS. This means that if we leave and go continue our playthrough, Red will no longer get half XP from being in the PHS. He will eventually rejoin the party when we reach Disc 3, but we will save a huge amount of XP in the meantime. Also, because Red was in our party, we are left with 2 party members, meaning the game gives us a chance to add a third. This allows us to add Aerith in so she can tank XP for the next section. We can then start the process of removing Aerith by going to Rocket Town. Rocket Town also thinks we're on Disc 1, so it starts the sequence of recruiting Sid. When we name Sid, the game actually does his level calculation as normal, but adds the levels he currently has, taking him from level 9 to level 17. This is unfortunate for our challenge, but removing all of Aerith's levels is more worth it than these 8 levels, so we have to live with it. We also have some extra XP in the form of Palmer, who we have to fight to continue. Once we are out of Rocket Town and in the Tiny Bronco, we continue the game as you normally would at this point. This means going to Gold Saucer, which is now fixed due to us watching Barret's cutscene and doing the date scene. As mentioned before, we are technically on Disc 2, even though the game moment is pointing to Disc 1, so when we go on our date, the game tries to play Disc 1 cutscenes, but grabs Disc 2 cutscenes. Afterwards, we go to the Temple of the Ancients. Normally, if you were to do Disc 1 skip, play most of the end of the game, and then go back in time and play through Temple, you would be super overpowered. However, because of how low leveled we are, as well as not having Red 13, Cait Sith, Yuffie, or Vincent, this is actually going to be a very scary section. Our one saving grace is the Princess Guard, Aerith's super overpowered ultimate weapon that we've not had access to for this entire challenge due to skipping Temple. We can also grab an extra ribbon and the morph materia while we're here. With the Princess Guard, we can make quick work of the Red Dragon, but Demon Wall is an absolute behemoth. In order to beat him, we need to take advantage of an advanced tech based on how his AI works. Long story short, we need to do a crap load of damage to ensure he is always in his Demon Rush phase and not dropping insane 900 damage crits on our head. In order to achieve this, we can take advantage of Death Blow in conjunction with the Princess Guard, which is fully powered up by having both of our other party members dead. We can also use not just regular Bahamut, but Neo Bahamut, since we already have him. With Aerith tanking the XP, she reaches her final level of 21. With the raid boss down, the rest of Temple plays out as normal, and after the Sleeping Forest scene, Aerith is permanently gone from the party. We don't need to go watch the scenes in the City of the Ancients because this is the actual moment she is removed, since you never get to use her again from this point on. This removes 21 levels from our overall count, giving us a new total of 71. The mission is almost complete, but now, after almost 3 full playthroughs of the game, it is time for the final boss of the absolute lowest level challenge. Look at this party. This is our whole part. And keep in mind, Kate Sith is not even a character. This is our entire party for carry armor. Going into carry armor, we have 4 people in our party. You heard that right. We have a 4-character party, the highest level being 21, to take on the hardest boss in the challenge, carry armor. This is why we went through all of the effort to keep that hero drink in the Schizo fight, and why we were thinking of potential backup plans like the limit grinding. It's all been because of this fight. And if this fight is possible, the challenge should be completable all the way to the end. In order to fix the game and get us back into the correct game moment, we use that Junon elevator glitch we set up earlier. This allows us to skip down into the reactor even though the game thinks we're on Disc 1, and will usually have guards here preventing us from going in. Once we fight carry armor, the game will be fixed and we can play the rest of the game. We just have to get past this nightmare first. Could this be a first try carry armor? Nope. I knew it. I knew it. I knew he'd do it. I knew it. I just felt it. Just felt it. I just knew he'd do it. With all of our HP pluses and even some MP pluses, we just barely get Cloud to scrape through the fight. We take out the Pincer Guard fight with a quick Bahamut, and we're finally in the clear. The rest of the playthrough plays out pretty much the same as the Cloud run. I made a meme about it in our Discord. I was like, look guys, I finally added an arrow to my thumbnail. Am I a real YouTuber now? And Not Ben responded with this picture, which is his version of my thumbnail. And the more you look at it, the better it gets. Rude is still a jerk. What is happening? Please hit Sid. You are... How could you? And then he crits! We use the same strat on Diamond Weapon, and we have a similar fight with Hojo. After Hojo, it was time for the final level reveal. But before that, we had to say hi to an old friend. He's back! He's so back! And he's level 7. Because he missed all the XP. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. The final level count for one of the most convoluted and overanalyzed challenge runs I've ever done. The final party level for the Aerith route was 94. Thanks to all the math, all of the help from the community, and 3 entire playthroughs of learning and science, we ended up with a total party level lower than the max level a single party member can reach. This was a truly miraculous feat, and reminder, this can be done on any version of Final Fantasy VII. Although Schizo might be an interesting fight to figure out with the magic defense bug. I may need to look into what alternative strategies you need to use for that. With our route finally proved to be a success, we jumped into the North Crater to finish the challenge officially. To help out, we finally decided to grab W item from Bone Village, as well as Zero Bahamut using a new RNG manip found by pet friend Amy. Okay, so this is how the manip works. For anyone that wants to do this at home, it's actually really easy. So I'm about to teach you. I'm about to teach you how to get Bahamut Zero. Step number 1. Dig right here to get the Mega Elixir. Okay, step 1. Wait, do we already get the Mega Elixir? Is that why? Did we get it before? I think we got it before. I think that's why. Okay, step 2. Dig here again. Okay, now, don't open the chest and just leave. And then save the game. I can't believe you could do that, by the way. I never knew you could do that. Close the game, reopen it. So now we load this save. And we start a timer. When the, like, in between, the screen fades to black and then fades back in. When it fades all the way to black and it's about to start fading in, that's when you start the timer. When the screen starts to fade in, we're going to open this at 12 seconds. It's that easy. It's that easy. And if you mess it up, you can just reload the save. So, you know, takes a whole 12 seconds to try. If you screw up, you can just do it again. This time, we decided to go all out. And by smashing Sephiroth with duplicated hero drinks and Zero Bahamut, we finally finished the absolute lowest level challenge. Playthrough number 3. And the absolute lowest level you can beat Final Fantasy VII without warping has been done. Level 94. It's just crazy. Man, I never would have thought this run would go this far and we would put so much time and effort and the whole community would put so much time and effort into making this run what it is. But I am very proud of this run. Definitely one of the coolest runs we've ever done. Definitely one of the most complicated runs we've ever done. Never thought I'd do a challenge run that took 3 playthroughs, but I mean, it didn't take 3 playthroughs, but we wanted to do 3 playthroughs. But you know, we didn't end it there. As tradition in my challenge runs, it was time to see if the post-game weapons would be at all possible to beat in this challenge. To make it even more difficult, I set all 3 weapons to give 0 XP, meaning we would have to beat all 3 of them with the same exact levels that we beat Saber Sephiroth with. We also used the Aerith playthrough party, meaning we were at the lowest levels possible and we didn't have Aerith. Ultimate Weapon is of course a pushover, but we can finally, after all this time, learn a decent enemy skill, Shadow Flare. We won't be using it though. I did forget to mention that you can learn Aqualung during the Genova Life fight, but there's not much reason to do so since you already have Comet. Speaking of magic, in order to have any chance against Emerald Weapon, we're going to want to finally buy Ultima. So it's a good thing we crashed the train into Coral instead of letting it miss the town completely. In order to even use Ultima, we need to grind movers to level up, and the mover grind was just as horrific as I figured it would be. You can go an excruciatingly long time without getting a single mover encounter and make no progress at all. Before even attempting Emerald, we still need to get the underwater materia, because there is no way we can beat him under the time limit. But wait a second, we can't morph the ghost ship, because morphing him would give us XP. As long as there are multiple enemies in a fight, you can morph one, get the item, and then leave, but the ghost ship always fights on his own. Luckily, there is another way, and I would have never thought of doing this prior to this challenge. You can actually morph the ghost ship in the battle arena, and he will still give you the guidebook. It is super tricky, as first of all, you need to get lucky enough for ghost ship to even be in the battle arena, and then you need to very quickly morph him before he kicks you out of the fight. I have had so many battle arena attempts over the years die to this guy because he kicks me out of the fight second turn or even first turn, so I was really worried about getting him to the right HP range and morphing him before he kicked me out. Please have mercy. Oh my god, he had mercy. Oh my god, we did it. We did it! Yes! First try. Now that we had everything we needed, it was time to fight Emerald Weapon. You idiot, Sid. Why? Why? Alright. No. Oh my god, the freaking crit. No, with the... No way. That still kills. Oh, this is gonna be rough. This is gonna be rough. No, how does he get a turn? Okay, we need... Bro, we need, like, speed sources or, like, something. Because he just ran... Like, how does he get that turn? No. That sucks. Come on, Cloud, dodge it. Even if he dodges it, we're probably cooked anyways. So, yeah, that can happen. When the fight goes on that long, that can happen. Oh, he dies to that? Come on, Sid. You live those. You don't live those. You lose those by like freaking 200 HP. Also, that's an issue. That's also an issue. We tried our best, but there was just no way to be tanky enough and deal enough damage to deal with everything Emerald has. If we stack ourselves with materia, we can do really good damage and survive his onslaught, but it's not enough damage to keep him from eventually using Air Tam Storm, which will kill us because we have a bunch of materia. If we remove materia, we can survive the Air Tam Storm, since it does damage based on how much materia you have equipped, but we can't survive any of his other attacks. We came up with two solutions to defeat him. Solution A, we master Quadra Magic so we can deal much more damage to him with Ultima, hopefully killing him before the automatic Air Tam Storm. Solution B, we fight Ruby Weapon first, and use the Gold Chocobo prize to grab Mime and Knights of the Round. Solution A is theoretically possible, but it would involve weeks of grinding in order to get enough mover fights to master Quadra Magic. So Solution B would have to do. Ruby Weapon is best defeated by using Dazers in conjunction with anything in the game that ignores defense, such as the question marks or Pandora's box enemy skills or Knights of the Round. We do have access to Dazers, since you can steal them, but unfortunately, we don't have access to any of those damage options. Question marks in Pandora's box would of course involve gaining XP, and we can't make a gold chocobo for Knights of the Round because we only have one chocobo. So we hatched a different plan. Coin. Coin also ignores defense and just does static damage based on how much money you throw. But we're going to need a lot of money, plus a lot of AP to unlock it. So first we took a long trip down into the North Crater where we upgraded Throw as well as some of the other materia that we wanted to use for both the weapon fights. Then we needed to find a way to make a ton of gil. The movers themselves gave 90,000 gil per fight, but that's not nearly enough. We need to throw 100,000 gil at Ruby to do 9's damage, and he has 800,000 HP, meaning we would need to throw a whopping 8 million gil and some change to kill him with coin alone. Since we can't win any fights other than movers for gil, we need to sell something for gil. The best way we could find to make money through selling was to duplicate the most expensive green, Silkus greens, with the W item glitch and sell off stacks of 99 at a time. Even with the duplicating glitch, this took a long time, so we settled on 7 million gil and hoped that Cloud buffed with some hero drinks could do the rest of the damage with 2x cut. After a long and grueling fight, Ruby Weapon is finally taken down and the gold chocobo is ours. We grab Knights of the Round and Mime and formulate a plan to take down Emerald. The plan is to burst down the first part of his health with as many Knights of the Round mimes as we can, then pivot into using Ultima with HP Absorb to kill the eyes and stay alive without having to waste turns healing. We only get one shot to use Knights since it's only level 1, but with good timing, we're able to use it and mime it twice before having to end the combo with a Mega Elixir. From there, we hope Ultima can do enough damage to end the fight before the automatic Airtam Storm. Yeah, I played this wrong too, because I'm letting him stamp a lot. Yep. There you go. Alright, well, Cloud dodges these. Yep. Misstyle. Misstyle gaming. We're in a terrible spot now, though. Wait a second, with Mime, I don't need Sid alive. Because I can mime my Ultimas for free. I didn't even think about that. I mean, I still want him alive, but I don't need him alive. Okay, well, I do if he does that. How did Cloud not get it? Oh my god, he just barely got his turn in time. What? Okay. 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 And the HP Absorb saves me, plus he dodged it. What? Cloud! Cloud's gone. Ultra Instinct. He will not let this attempt die. Bro, I think I double cast Ultima, and then I just hold down the circle button and pray. Yeah, this is a bit unfortunate how long this is going to take. I'm probably going to get air-tammed at least one more time. I mean, at this point, I'm in it either way. Either we win and the challenge ends today, or we don't win and we get to do the challenge again next week, and I get to do this fight a lot better than I did it this time. So, I'm here for whatever happens. I got a counter. So he's not even going to get a turn with eyes. If he's air-tamming, he has to do it right now. Oh my god, we did it. Oh my god, we did it. Cloud somehow pulled this fight. The dodge on the air tam. And then the counter. He just went Ultra Instinct and pulled this back from the grave. He said, no, we end the challenge today. I'm done being low level. I want to be level 99 again. We did it. There it is. We did it. We did it. Barret playthrough completed. Cloud playthrough completed. Aerith playthrough completed. And now, with the Aerith playthrough, we have also beaten all 3 weapons without any extra XP. And that's it. That was the absolute lowest level challenge. We beat the entire game and the weapons with a party level of 94, using only glitches and skips doable on any version of the game. I want to thank my entire community for being a part of this challenge, as well as all of the math heads that helped us figure out exactly how to minimize the experience throughout all 3 playthroughs. As I figured from the beginning, this playthrough was just as much of a challenge to beat the enemies as it was to solve the puzzle. As I mentioned before, you can watch this challenge in its entirety if you'd like. I'll leave the playlist down below. I really enjoyed making this video because I feel like it was a great summary and celebration of this challenge run, and I have been passionate about challenge runs for over 14 years now. These challenge runs can be extremely grueling, and not everybody wants to watch all 100+ hours of me struggling through them. However, these summary videos are a great time capsule for people to understand what happened in the run without having to watch the whole thing. So I'd love to go back to my other challenge runs and make videos just like this, explaining how we got through them and all the niche mechanics that made them possible. Although to be honest, I could not continue to make giant scale videos like this as a one-man team without the help of my Patreon supporters. The people that go out of their way to support these giant video projects are genuinely the reason they can happen at all, and I am so eternally grateful for their generosity. On my Patreon, even the lowest $1 tier gets access to all of the exclusive videos we have there, but so many people go above and beyond to ensure that I can continue to make giant projects. There is absolutely no pressure to join my Patreon, but I want you to know that every little bit does seriously count and help so much. And for those of you that sign up for the insane $20 tier to get your name at the end of the video, thank you. Thank you so much, and this video would not be here without you. There is, of course, many free ways to support these videos as well, whether or not you subscribe, like, comment, or hype the video, and you can even just follow the Patreon and you'll get some of the videos for free. But that's going to be it for this one. Thank you again, anybody who watched this entire thing to the end, and anybody that goes the extra mile to check out the Patreon, and we will see you in the next one.